Thanks, Chief. Morning, everybody. It's my pleasure to be here. I serve as the association secretary, but my day job as of right now is I'm a co-lead with my friend Ken Kempter on the Wildfire Forecast and Threat Intelligence Integration Center, which we call the WIFTIC. So a little bit about my background. I spent 26 years on a Schedule B engine going up and down the state, and after that I was a field battalion chief for 8 years, so I do have dirt time. And what we do here with all these tools, similar to the ones that Joaquin was talking about yesterday, is decision support, right? We're not making any decisions for anybody. And right, Hawkins? No good decision was ever made. Nope. Oh, God.
Number two is, on October 25th, 2006, National Weather Service had predicted San Diego had predicted a Santa Ana wind event. So I called up my man, then Captain Chavez, and I asked him, hey, Tim, what do you think about the forecast? He says, I respect the forecast, but he said, I think the winds are going to be strong. Then he went on to say, we better not get a fire in the San Antonio Pass. The rest of it's history. Clairvoyance.
What I was going to say is that Hawkins always says no good decision was ever made from a swivel chair, right? That's a quote from George Patton. So that's kind of how we live our life. We are decision support, all right? And so just a little background, the WIFTIC was created by some legislation in 2019 by Senator Dodd, who's from the Napa Valley, and after they got their butt kicked multiple years in a row, he decided that the state needed a threat integration center similar to the terrorism threat integration centers that are pretty widespread across the U.S. now after 9/11. So that's the idea. And the thing that our leadership quotes to us all the time is we want you guys to be like the National Hurricane Center for fires. Well, there's a lot of problems with that idea, but we're trying to go for it. So next slide. Oh, I don't know, where's the clicker at? Right here. I got it. Bottom arrow? Other arrow. All right, so this is, I'll try to go quick since Drew and Dave used all my time.
You're welcome.
So this is all of the collaboration. It's a joint operation between Cal OES and Cal Fire are the principals. But we also have a big participation from the California Military Department in the idea of the Fire Guard. How many have heard of Fire Guard? Amazing. Okay, so Fire Guard is giving us real-time fire-affected area from space, we think. They won't tell us. We're pretty sure it's from space. Every 5 minutes on every wildland fire in the western United States. Real time. It's not perfect, it's not a perimeter, it's what they call a fire-affected area, but it's pretty good at picking up the fires in the early stages. It might be on one side of the canyon or the other, but as the fire grows and gets bigger and hotter, it does a pretty good job of, you would never use it for tactics, but it's great for strategy, okay? That's what Fire Guard is. If you want to know more about it, talk to me about it at the break. We also have a participant from the California Public Utilities Commission because of all the rigmarole with those guys in the last 20 years or so. And then we're inviting more participation from academia, from the Cal State system, from the University of California, some scientists that we know like Chris Dykes or Craig Clemens that are really invested in the fire science business, that are doing, parallel stuff with us to help us with this decision support stuff. So, and then we also have a participation from the U.S. Forest Service and from the National Weather Service. So my boss, Philip Selig, told me when I started this job 18 months ago is we're not going to invent anything new because there's already tons and scads of stuff out there. We just want to bring it all into one place. So we have predictive services, we have FireGuard, we have FireUS, the Alert California webcams is a big part of our project. Social media. There's a lot of intelligence to be gained from social media out there. The utility companies all have decision support tools and fire potential indices that we want to bring in. And then we want to distribute information out from all the ground firefighters, to the state warning center, to our decision makers in our two agencies, to legislators, elected people. So we want to be a central hub, a clearinghouse, kind of the CIA, where we're going to bring information in and try to gain insight to what's going on, both all the way from the initial attack fire level all the way to the big picture strategic level just for the state of California. That's our goal. So we are pretty heavily in bed with TechnoSilva, as you saw Joaquin yesterday, and they're inventing a lot of stuff that they're bringing to bear in our common operating picture tools and in Scout and in EGP. So if you have access to any of those tools, you'll see some of this stuff that we're bringing to bear, like the initial attack index and the extended attack index, real-time fire behavior projections on initial attack fires. We're doing anywhere from 3 to 8 hour predictions on every fire that goes into Irwin. Every single fire that shows up in Irwin gets an 8-hour fire projection from TechnoSilva, and it shows up in all those common operating picture tools that are out there. There's some other stuff in here. Wi-Fire, the University of California, San Diego. FireGuard I already talked about, but how many of you have heard of VERS or MODIS? Right, we're getting data from those two satellites. That the MODIS satellite is coming to the end of its life, but the VERS satellite is still pretty good. Dave talked about the GOES-17 satellite. So all of that stuff bringing into one place. PyRegence is another projection tool. And my idea is there's a bunch of everybody has different ideas on how fires spread. Probably none of them is right. Have you guys heard the expression, all models are wrong, but some are useful, right? That's a true statement, and that's kind of how Drew and I, that's kind of how we live our life is we know they're all wrong, but some of them do provide useful information, so. This is our website. If you search fire forecast, it will come up. We are beginning to bring in some links and different products into this web page. Our one product that we are producing since about June of last year is a single page forecast for the day. Comes out every day, 5 days a week in the wintertime, 7 days a week in the summer. Across the top is, that doesn't work. Maybe I'm holding it wrong. Oh, here we go. Across the top is a 3-day fire size potential forecast for the entire state of California. The colors indicate how big a potential fire could be. What's the missing element though? Ignitions, right? If you don't have ignitions, you're not gonna get fires. So you gotta take that all with a grain of salt. And then down here we have the predictive services 7-day outlook for north and south. And then the text product here is just the predictive services, fuels, and fire weather discussion. So that, like I said, that comes out every day. All the CAL FIRE mailboxes get it on Mondays. Let's see here. And then we're working on some of these dashboards. The big thing in ESRI and GIS now is dashboards. Dashboards are where you bring multiple sources of information in these little windows in one place. So this is one of our dashboards that has, has the red flag warning criteria. How do I do this here? Has red flag warnings, any that are active, any active fires, smoke. The SPC forecast, the Storm Prediction Center, does a fire severity forecast. Large fire potential over here, winds, Irwin feeds, and then the hourly fire danger from the University of Nevada, Reno, and then any active incidents. So we're working on producing some of these dashboards, and this will all be out in the open, all for the public. This is another project that we're going to work on this summer. Is a lot of the incident meteorologists are producing these, what they call the matrix. Many of you have seen, anybody seen these on big fires, right? Where the colors show you out a few days when the bad days are going to be. If you go down these little tables and it's all red, 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 you know you're going to have a bad day, right? Yeah. Make sure you get a flat tire or something. So, you know, we're here for the ground, like I said, all the way from the ground level firefighters all the way to our executives. And, you know, we want to keep everybody informed on any significant emerging incidents, any massive structural loss, significant injuries or deaths, other significant events like public service power shutoffs, unexpected critical fire weather, lightning busts, all that kind of stuff. That's what we want to bring all together. We're going to have several update mechanisms besides the web page. Eventually, we're going to have push notifications, email alerts, all that kind of stuff, but we're kind of working on a lot of that stuff now. Oh, the wrong way. And then this is, how many of you have used the RMA dashboard, the risk management? Just a couple of you. Risk Management Assistance has a beautiful dashboard. You should Google it. It has a bunch of tabs with tons of information, and this is just one of them. On large fires, they make these spider web graphs that kind of give you an idea of, if you have one that looks like this, it kind of shows you where your problem is. If they're little, there's probably no big deal, but if they cover all the bases of all the possible problems you could have on a big fire. This is the Dixie Fire, no surprise. It kind of tells you what to expect. So again, decision support, suppression difficulty index. We talked, you guys ever heard of that? Suppression difficulty index. It's maps of areas that include terrain difficulty and all that kind of stuff. Potential control locations or pods. How many of you heard of pods or PCLs? Man, we got some educating to do, I guess, huh? Snag hazards, potential, yeah, the pods, and then ground evacuation time. So these are all potential products that we're thinking about. We know they're out there. We can bring them together and bring them to bear on our California fire problem. This is an example of the suppression difficulty index. It basically tells you, like Joaquin showed yesterday with the TDI, if you're going to try to catch a fire here, you're not going to be successful. Maybe here is a better option. That's the kind of thing we get. Potential control locations are places where we've been successful before. We've got dozens of years of GIS data where we know where the dozer lines were, and we know where the fires stopped, and we know which dozer lines were successful and which ones weren't. Why can't we know that in advance and bring that to bear? It's where we say, this is a good ridge, this ridge is not so good. Okay, stuff like that. Snag hazards. How many of you know there's been a big tree die-off in north central California in the red fir zone, right? That's something I was not aware of until very recently, but right before the drought broke, there is a ton of dead trees between 6,000 and 8,000 feet north of Tahoe. So that's going to be our next problem, right? And then these are the pods, potential operational delineations that bring all this information together, like snag hazard, like terrain difficulty, like former dozer lines that were successful. All this information is out there. We need to bring it to bear. Ground evac times. How long is it going to take to get an injured firefighter out of those places? All right, so that's it. If you have any questions? Yes, sir. Yes.
Is it true that California, like, does it use, and then the other one was, are you familiar with, Barry Clayball's,
Yes.
the hotter and drier, windier, they're trying to do away with the heat, can you explain it?
Yes. The Haynes Index is dead and stinking. It never worked in California west of the mountains anyway because the marine layer makes the Haynes Index a 4 or a 5 every day. An index that doesn't have any range of variability is not useful. A scientist from South Dakota named Darren Clayball, if you go to YouTube and watch his videos about the Haynes Index, he's got a really solid case. First of all, the Haynes Index was never intended to be operational. It was kind of rushed into an operational use because it was successful in the Intermountain West, right? Around Missoula and Boise, right? Everything that's successful in Missoula and Boise must work everywhere, right? No, that is not true. Every place is unique, and the Haynes Index is one that does not work in California. Never has, and in places like Lass and Modoc and east of the mountains like Bishop, it works okay, but west of the mountains it never worked. So yes, the Haynes, you will see less and less mention of the Haynes as time goes on. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you. Good photo, Tim.